Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thanks so much for joining me, and if you're new here, then thanks for joining me for the first time. I hope you stick around. So today I'm going to be showing you how to make this modular house for any type of tabletop gaming, be it Warhammer, Dungeons and Dragons, you name it, you can use this for that. I think it turned out super cute. It's not my best project, but I'm still very happy with it. So I started out by doing a little sketch. Not that this particularly helped me because I did stray from this quite a lot. But then I literally just used an Amazon parcel that I got and the cardboard that came with that to cut out the walls and the floor of the basic shape of the building, as you can see there. Then I basically took some spackle, I think it's called, and smeared it all over the walls, and took a little silicone tool that's actually used for clay and stuff like that. I took that and carved in some cobblestone shapes on the wall so it looked like old-timey cobblestones. Now I've just tried to design this thing so it's kind of smaller on the bottom and larger on the top, like a Victorian house. So bear with me, you'll see it all comes together in the end, trust me. But basically I'm just cutting out the windows now, as you can see. I just wanted this to feel like super old-timey, so for the bottom section I'm making it cobblestones, and then for the top section I'm making it that kind of plaster with the wooden planks that you probably will know what I mean when you see it, but I've not described that very well. But this sand and PVA glue concoction is basically like the plaster on the top bit of the walls. So now I'm getting some balsa wood. This is some of my favourite material ever because it is so versatile. You can use it for so much stuff. I love it. And I'm just cutting it into even strips so that I can use actual wood for the wooden panels on my upper level of my house. Oh my gosh, this is getting super confusing. You'll know what I mean when you see it, but yeah, it is kind of confusing. Out lots of different strips of wood that I can then use to make the panelling. This turned out to be a lot more fiddly than I thought it was going to be. I am not someone who is blessed with the gift of patience, so cutting out all of these tiny little strips of wood and them having to be the exact right size really just stressed me out, I'm not going to lie. But then I used this, what I've been told is called granny grating. It's like cross-stitch material. I use that as the windows. This is a very old trick of mine. I learned this from someone on YouTube. I actually can't remember who used that first now, but someone on YouTube introduced me to this trick when doing medieval or fantasy buildings to use this granny grating. It's super, super cheap. You can get like a whole sheet of it for £1 at Hobbycraft. And it's just really good at giving those windows a bit of extra depth, because otherwise they would just be blank, or they would have crappy little dividers in them that I've made myself. So they wouldn't look as good as they do with the granny grating. Here I am just popping the wooden slices that I snipped up earlier into place. You can kind of see my vision coming together now, thankfully. For a moment I thought we were really lost there, guys. So I'm basically just doing big wooden planks at the top and the bottom, and then some wooden planks in between to kind of hold it all together. And I'm just using hot glue to do this. And to be fair, I think a lot of people could do this very easily, and I think you can achieve the exact same look that I've achieved by just using cardboard. I don't think you have to use wood, because when I spray painted it later on to prime it, I kind of lost a lot of that woody texture. So if you were thinking of doing this, maybe prime it and then add on the wood if you want to keep the wood texture, or just use cardboard. It's a lot cheaper and more accessible for people, and I imagine you would probably get the exact same result. So of course on the lower level the spackle has now dried, so I'm just adding in the windows and some wooden bits on the outside of the house. This is all going to come together in a bit when I glue it all together as one, and you will finally see what I mean. Once again, not a woman who has patience, but here I am slicing up loads of tiny, teeny little wooden planks again, because now we are doing floorboards. This is going to be the floor of the tavern / house. Really, you could make this whatever you want it to be. I think we're going to use it as like a house, but you could totally use it as a tavern, as a brothel. Well, I don't know what kind of campaigns you guys are running, but honestly, you can use it as whatever you like. So here I am finally sticking it all together. So I stuck the walls together first, and then in goes the floorboards, and that is the bottom level completed. All texture done. Only took me 3 days. I'm not even joking, it took me ages. So now I'm going in with some extra little wood parts and just cleaning it all up, because as you can see there's lots of gaps showing and it just looked a bit messy. But when I went in and added these extra bits of wood, it really, really brought it together. I think it ended up looking just so fantastic with those extra little details. And I quite like the fact that all of the floorboards were a bit like higgledy-piggledy. I think it makes it look... So next, just adding in some little window ledges on the inside. I've obviously added the ones on the outside, but I thought it just needed a little bit more detail on the inside, which is great. And here you can see the top level coming together. Oh my god, this was the moment that I was like, wow, I haven't completely messed this up. I haven't completely messed up the dimensions, because as well as patience not being my strong suit, neither is maths. And neither is knowing where to put shapes, because I had to draw this square shape for the hole in the floor 4 times before I got it in the place that I wanted it to be. Very embarrassing, but what are you going to do? I don't like measuring, I just like going for it. And yeah, cut the little hole in the middle of the floor, and then I had to glue some of the floorboards down because they ripped out when I was ripping the hole out. Classic. But yeah, that's basically going to be how people get from the door, which is obviously on the top floor, down to the basement level or the ground floor level, because there's not going to be an entrance on the ground floor level. And there you can see both of my pieces are finished, all glued together. And here I am just making a door, obviously, because a house needs a door. And you might be thinking, Caitlin, the door is on the first floor, and like how are we gonna get through the door? Do not worry, because I am going to make stairs. And that was the most time-consuming and horrific part of the whole project. So stay tuned to see how I make the stairs. But for now, we're just gluing on the roof. Literally, this is just cardstock. And then just gluing on a bunch of, again, cardstock tiles that I have cut out in advance. I won't make you sit here and watch me do them all one by one, so let's go to a time lapse. I wish it was this quick to do all of these shingles. Honestly, this took me so long. It's quite therapeutic though, and I think the effect afterwards is just so good. It's totally worth it in my opinion. Here I'm just mixing up some black paint with some matte Mod Podge. Now, someone commented on one of my last videos saying that this was a great way to kind of seal everything in. I know I haven't used foam in this project, but I wanted to kind of seal stuff in before I primed it anyway. Oh, look how cute he looks! He fits in there lovely. And then basically when you flip this thing over, it looks super ugly. So I decided to put in some more wooden panelling on the bottom. So that, you know, if you do end up for any reason looking at the underside of this thing, it won't look like really ugly. So that's what is good. So yeah, basically painting the whole thing in this mixture of black paint and Mod Podge. And I think it did make the primer really adhere to it a bit better. So that is a good thing, I suppose. And I think it will definitely work better when I am using foam in future projects to use that method, but I just wanted to use it because one of you guys commented it. So yeah, after priming we go straight in with the paint. I'm using this like sand colour for the walls, and you're probably thinking, Caitlin, that is literally the exact same colour of the walls that you just spray painted over. Yes, correct, it is. But that's the joy of doing stuff like this. You just do something and then you think, wow, I shouldn't have done that, and that actually would have saved me about 4 hours. And that's 4 hours I'm never getting back, but what can you do? I still enjoyed it, so it's not wasted hours in my opinion. Now I'm just going in with a Citadel wash on the floorboards, just to get that kind of old-timey feel. I feel like I did, maybe because I rushed this project a little bit because I'm impatient, I think it maybe looks a bit more like shabby than I was intending it to. Like the beams are a bit crooked, there's a few floorboards missing, but I actually really like that look in the end, and I think it really brings it together. I think if it looked too good, it wouldn't look medieval, because you know medieval things don't look modern and shiny and new. So yeah, I am actually really glad with how it turned out. So now, after going through all of that with cutting up all of those bits of wood and sticking them down individually, I am now going over all of the wood with a brown paint and kind of dry brushing that on to give it, you know, that brown wood effect. This definitely could have been achieved by just not spray painting the wooden bits, but that would have meant I would have had to either start again, take off all the wooden bits, or tape up the wooden bits, and I was not about to do any of that, so there you go. Right, now I'm just adding a little bit of staining around the walls and on the tiles. Like I say, I wanted this in the end because it looked a bit crooked. I wanted it to look like it had been here for years and used for years, and maybe was a little bit magical, who knows. So I'm just adding a bit of, like, you know, mould in the corner, a bit of, you know, the wallpaper's peeling, there's a bit of damp, you know how it is with old houses, so I wanted it to kind of look like that, and I think I really actually did achieve that effect really well, if I do say so myself. This is one of my personal favourite parts of a project, because you just get to kind of slap whatever you want on the piece and hope for the best. So here I'm just putting a dark wash on, and then here I'm just painting the windows silver, because I imagine there'd be silver bars, who even knows. And here I'm just adding on a bit more wash on the wood bits. And look, it looks so good when I put it all together. So it's time to glue it. I just glued the bottom bit to the top bit, obviously, as you would. This was basically because, again, if you looked at it from underneath, you would see the cardboard and all of that crappy like squares that I tried to draw to cut out the hole in the floor, and I didn't want people to see that, so I cut out a bit of felt, which is actually a lot harder than it looks, and glued it in the top to act as, like, I don't know, a ceiling, I guess, and I think it ended up looking really smart, so I'm really glad that I did that. Next, I had to make a ladder for someone to get from the first floor down to the basement, down to the ground floor. So again, I had to cut out some blimmin' wood. So these are the stairs. This took me so long. I honestly was here for hours. I was having to do maths. I had to do a calculator, cutting up loads of different bits of wood and gluing them to this little bit to make the ladder stairs thing. So I'm actually making stairs on the outside and then a ladder on the inside. And I think they turned out okay. I just think this kind of job is for someone who has a lot more patience than I do, or someone who has, for example, a laser cutter and can cut things really precisely, because even though I you know, gave it my best efforts, some of the stairs were a bit wonky and whatever. So I'm just attributing it to the fact that it's a medieval house, it's old, some of the stairs are going to be wonky and skewed by magic or something, right? That's just what I'm saying. It was done on purpose, all right? Now, this was a very flimsy job. I had to glue things in place and hold it in place for ages because, you know, things kept falling apart. But once I got there, and I was really quite proud of it, actually. Here I am making the ladder. This was a much easier job, just little sticks of wood, which was nice for once to have an easier job. And yeah, I basically took these outside, primed them, and went in painting them with the same paints that I used on the wood on the outside of the house, on those beams. Now I just put a load of hot glue onto a little foam mat. This is literally just a spare bit of foam mat that I have been using to paint on, and then I just glued everything to it. glued the house in first, then the stairs, and then I made this concoction. I was clearly like wanting to be a potion master on this day because yeah, I made this like concoction of sand, brown paint, PVA glue, a different kind of sand I think was in there, I can't even remember, to make this textured mud. We will be putting grass on the top of this, but underneath grass there is mud. So I tried to make it as realistic as I possibly could. I then thought that it looked a little bit beige. The whole thing was brown and beige and it just wasn't really tickling my pickle. And I thought if this is a magical area, then it's going to be magical. And so I painted the roof with a wash of blue. I then went in and, listen, this stuff looks like bogies. Trust me, it's not bogies. Don't worry guys, it's not bogies. But I went in with some PVA glue mixed with flocking and just put quite a lot on there really. I think I did actually maybe a bit too much, but that's okay. We learn from our mistakes. And I think it turned out really good anyway. So yeah, let me know what you think. And let me know if there's anything else you'd like to see me make, because this was actually a suggestion from someone in the comments. I'd be really interested. And thanks for watching, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. And roll to the glamour shots. Bye, guys.